It dawned on me the other day, out of all the filming I have done of bass in their natural environment, I have not one time, never, not a single moment, have I filmed a bass deep inside of a brush pile. They have always been 100% of the time on the edge of that brush. Now, I'm not talking about, a single laydown, okay? A one stump up there. I'm talking about this thick, gnarly, nasty brush, and I have filmed so much brush, and every single time they are on the edge of it. The other thing that I noticed is that probably only 15 to 20% of the time is that bass just sitting there. We often think about them as sitting in a particular location and just kind of hanging out there and not moving much. I've only seen that probably, like I said, up to 20% of the time. Most of the time, 80% of the time, they are moving, they're going somewhere. Now, by moving, I don't mean that they're just, poosh, just shooting through the water column. They're just kind of meandering, cruising on their way. Now, they may be within a specific area or a territory, which oftentimes they are. They just kind of make some loops within a very specific location. Think of a school of bass on a ledge. They will kind of hang out in a spot, but they're moving around within that particular spot. So that's what I've seen, and it really clicked with me that if you're a new bass angler or even a veteran bass angler, and if you focus on this one thing, I think you're going to find bass more often, and you're probably going to catch a lot of fish. And that is, put your energy, put your focus on edges when you're first getting to the water, first getting to the body of water. Now, we talk about edges all the time on this channel, right? But so often we fish these edges inefficiently. Think about if you've got a weed bed, okay? We oftentimes spend our day, our evening, whatever, fishing perpendicular to that. We are dropping that lure in a very specific location, and the odds of getting the bite are pretty much dependent on putting that lure right on that fish. If we turn that, flip that 90 degrees and focus on these edges paralleling, and you can do this fishing from the shoreline as well. It's a little bit harder. It's very natural to fish perpendicular from the shoreline, but you can throw down the shoreline parallel, right? But if we focus our time on fishing parallel, that lure is in the zone or the potential proper zone almost the entire time. You can fish parallel up super shallow, the inside weed line, and outside weed line. I mean, there are edges all over the place, and your odds of locating the fish just go way, way, way up. And once you find them, once you find that area that you're hanging out, well, now you've got the entire tackle collection open to you, right? You can go ahead and flip around, fish a perpendicular, fish that area, pick it apart. But we spend so much of our searching time giving ourselves just a little chance, a small percentage of a chance, because we're fishing perpendicular to these edges instead of parallel with these edges. Now, the majority of this information that I'm sharing with you is bass that I have filmed in 20 feet of water or less. And even if we think about docks and laydowns, things that we often, are facing perpendicular, right? So we're kind of faced and thrown up perpendicular to that shoreline. Those two are just full of edges, right? And those bass are just relating to those edges. Now, you might have, some contour in the brush, or you might have some contour in overhanging brush going down a shoreline, and a lot of times bass will be relating to that little pocket within that larger brushy shoreline. But every single time, they are unimpeded to deeper water access. Okay, so as I bring a camera by, a fish may slip out of that little brushy pocket and down deep and then come right back into it if they're more sitting in a specific area, but they're still not deep into it, okay? They're in some open water on the edge of that brush where they can get to deeper water quickly. They always have an escape route that is quickly accessible to them. And hey, if you get to that isolated cover, and if you want to watch a video on what I feel is the key to approaching and attacking and dissecting isolated cover, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.